I used to think, I just don't know, why am I not finding it within myself to do it? I want to do it, but it just wasn't clicking. And for me, it's just got to start right in your head. Until you've had that head click moment, you can't then control the sort of the physical urges that you're having.
Welcome back to Head Right Out, episode 16. And if you're new here, hello, this is great to have you here. I hope you'll be back for more listens. And remember, because it's episode 16, there's another 15 episodes before this for you to listen to. Now, before we head into today's conversation, a little reminder, please, about the Sports Podcast Awards. Head Right Out was nominated and then shortlisted in the Best Urban and Adventure category. And this is where I need you, because this is now down to a public vote. Please take a couple of minutes to head over to sportspodcastawards.com. Register if you haven't registered to vote already. You need to just pop in an email address to do that. And then go to the categories, click on Best Urban and Adventure, and click on the red button to vote for your favourite. And that's where hopefully you'll choose Head Right Out. If you could take a moment to do this, I would be so grateful. Thank you. The support of the listeners has just been phenomenal. I've had so many messages from people saying how the conversations that they've heard on the podcast has helped them. Somebody else sent me a message saying she was utterly addicted and she binge listened to all 15 episodes, and it's building momentum. And that's really heartening. It's really positive for Head Right Out. So yes, please, if you could go and vote for Head Right Out in the Sports Podcast Awards, that would be wonderful. Do stay to the end of the episode, because we have a great Head Right Out moment, which whisks us away to the Southwest Coast Path. And as a lot of you will know, that's where my journey started 11 years ago now. So yes, I have a very fond attachment to the Southwest Coast Path. Today's conversation is with Maria Roberts, and it's so compelling, so moving and utterly inspiring. The place Maria is in now is far removed from where she was a few years ago, both mentally and physically. Now, I've got to say here, this is a trigger warning for anyone with an eating disorder or mental health issues surrounding body confidence or weight loss. Please, if you don't feel in the right headspace to listen to this today, save it for another day, or just skip to the next episode. And when episode 17 comes out next week, get back on track with that. But this is a very honest episode. Maria's lifetime of self-loathing has finally broken into her beaming into her glorious 50s. She says herself, it's no longer about a weight loss journey. The number on the scales isn't important anymore. It's about the responsibility to herself, to her family, and the responsibility to society to be healthy and well. Let's go and listen to the conversation. Okay, well, we are here today with a lady who I met in a coffee shop in Crickhowell here in South Wales. And it was just one of those chance meetings. We were introduced, and I am so delighted that she agreed there and then to come on the podcast. Her name is Maria Roberts. She is 51 years old and a critical care nurse by clinical background, but she's currently working in healthcare quality and safety. She's married and has a daughter who is now 20 years old. Now, she was overweight since her childhood and has been on a cycle of diets from around the age of 10 years old. Whilst she had some success, she never kept the weight off, a cycle too many people are familiar with. She was feeling the physical effects of being overweight and was full of self-loathing and low confidence related to her size, but she struggled to break the self-destructive cycle. In December 2017, Maria had a wake-up call. Now she has found a new zest for life and has been inspired to get fit and get outdoors. Wow. Maria, welcome to Head Right Out.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you so much. So yes, we met in Crickhowell. We had both been on navigation days. I mean, they were just amazing. Before we go into that particular side of things, I would just like you to tell me something true about yourself that no one believes, or at least no one believes when you first tell them.
People who I meet now struggle to believe that I've lost over 8 stone in weight. So that is something that when people see a photograph of me as I was to what I look like now, I have people doing double takes. I have people who I did know then who will walk past me now because they don't realise it's me.
So people that actually were connected to you, personally connected to you, and they don't recognise you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How does that feel? How does that make you feel?
I'm getting used to it now because I've been able to maintain my weight loss since June 2019 on the whole. I mean, it goes up and down a little bit. That's natural. But on the whole, I've kept the weight off. Well, sometimes I struggle to recognise myself. I could go past a shop window, for example, and catch my reflection and not realise it was me. It's a very strange thing to see yourself transforming because your mind's eye sees you as you were. And so it's like having to sort of rehabilitate your mind almost.
I can imagine.
It's a very peculiar thing.
I can imagine. On a very much smaller scale, I can relate to that in some way, because when I came back off the Southwest Coast Path 10 years ago, I'd walked for 7 weeks and dropped 2 dress sizes in that time. So I left a size 12 to 14 and I came back a size 8 to 10. And that was just in 7 weeks. And I was walking past shop windows, just like you, in Poole Shopping Centre. And I did a double take and I thought, who is that? And then I realised that students from the school where I was working were spotting me and doing double takes. And one of them came over to me and said, "Miss, what's happened?" So yeah, it is a strange feeling. Now, from my point of view, I actually ended up struggling with the loss of identity because all of my clothes, I mean, mine wasn't a planned weight loss, but all of the loss of my clothes that no longer fitted me, that was the loss of my identity as well. So all of the colours and the fashions, the styles that I loved, I suddenly couldn't wear. And I ended up going back to school in my 16-year-old daughter's clothes. But I mean, obviously for you, it was something that you had chosen to do. So I don't know how gradual this was or how quickly it happened for you, but how did you get used to that re-identifying with yourself and finding yourself a new style and a new you? How did you manage that?
I think because when you're in a situation where you're very overweight and you know that it's harming not only you, but it's compromising people around you. In my family, for example, it restricted things that we could do. So I was in the situation that I knew that I needed to do something about it. And I just absolutely detested shopping for clothes and things like that. I've never been clothes shopping with, well, I can think of one occasion actually where I've been clothes shopping with a friend, because I just found the experience humiliating, where people could pick up, size 12, 14, whatever, and the size I needed didn't exist in those sorts of shops. And I just found it humiliating. Going to look for my wedding dress, I went on my own, things like that, having a hen do, and I never did it because I just didn't, I feel I could. So I feel like I've missed out on so many things over the years. And I wasn't even at my biggest then, that's the thing. And so I was resorting to catalogue shopping online and just basically wearing what I thought would fit. So I wasn't wearing things that I liked. I wasn't wearing colourful clothing or things that I was drawn to. I just had to go with being practical. Yeah. So
and you said, in your bio, you, like a lot of other people, you're in a self-destructive cycle that you then just can't get out of. What did that cycle involve? Was there comfort eating, for example, or destructive self-talk? What was happening for you?
I ate if I was happy. I ate if I was sad. I ate if I was angry. Just any emotion. It was an excuse either to comfort myself or to give myself a pat on the back. So I just always used food in that way. And I recognized that I was a feeder as well, in that I was kind of giving food to other people, because it was kind of another opportunity. If someone else had done well in something, I was feeding them, and it was an opportunity for me to join in the festivities. It was ridiculous, really, but it's addictive behaviours, it's addictive foods, and then it's alcohol as well, just consuming empty calories. It's just habitual destructive behaviours. And even though you know that you've got no sense of moderation, but I was just like a bottomless pit. You just couldn't fill me up. I would always find room for more.
And I guess if, even though at some point that what you're doing is harmful, I'd imagine there comes a point where you're thinking, oh well, what the heck, it's not going to do any good, so you just carry on doing it. But
the problem just feels so overwhelming that you just think, how can I possibly deal with this? I was 18 stone 1 at my largest, and I was thinking, really, I need to probably lose 8 stone. And I thought, oh my goodness, how you see kind of slimming magazines and there's stories of people who've done it, and I used to think, I just don't know, why am I not finding it within myself to do it? I want to do it, but it just wasn't clicking. And for me, it's just got to start right in your head. Until you've had that head click moment, you can't then control the sort of the physical urges that you're having to fill yourself with the sugary, fatty, rubbishy foods that you've been feeding yourself.
So what was that head click moment then? Where did that change suddenly shift for you?
It had been building up for me, where I knew that I was at my largest, and I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of in size 26 trousers now, having bigger tops to try and cover up, in sort of shapeless tunics, and just thinking like, I'm literally going to run out of places where I can shop for clothes. And I thought, what on earth am I going to do? And so I was sort of reaching a particular point of despair with myself, getting really angry with myself that I couldn't seem to do it. So I knew that I was sort of building up to a point of wanting to go to a slimming group, because I've done that before. It does work for me. It helps me with keeping myself accountable for myself. But it was really then in December 2017 when my mother became ill, and she was diagnosed with a terminal condition. And I just thought, it was just like a bit of a watershed moment, really. And I thought to myself, she's going to need me. I have a sister. She lives in London. So, she's not round the corner. My mother's 20 minutes away from me. And I thought, she's going to need me. My dad is going to need me. I need to be in a better state of health if I'm going to be able to help them, because my mother is only going to go one way with this terminal condition. It's only going to get worse. And if I'm exhausted and not looking after myself, and if I'm sort of dealing with my stresses of the day by eating chocolate and drinking wine, I'm not going to be any good to anybody. I thought I had a teenage daughter at that time. As I say, she's 20 now. And that had its own challenges, as it does with teenagers. And I just thought, I can't juggle all of this and carry on like I am. And then I thought to myself as well that, not that it's related, but it really made me think that, I'm kind of, at that point I was heading to my 50s. And I thought I didn't want to be fat at 40, but I'm going to be fat at 50 if I don't sort anything out about myself. I thought, I want to be fit at 50. I need to, again, getting older. This is my kind of last chance saloon. I either sort this out now and have retirement years where I'm healthy enough to be able to do the things that I want to do, or am I going to forever be panicking about going on an aircraft because I can't do up the seatbelt and I'm humiliated to ask for an extension? And I thought, enough is enough. And so it was just a sort of culmination of these little things. And then I thought to myself, right, I'm going to get myself to a slimming group again. And that was what I did in January 2018. I joined a local Slimming World group.
So that was your first move, was to join the group.
Yeah.
And then how often did you attend?
So it's a weekly process where you go and you weigh in. It's all done privately, so nobody knows your weight unless you choose to disclose it. And you have a discussion around how your week's gone. Are you feeling in control or not in control? How can the group help you? Recipe ideas, that kind of thing. So I found it very helpful. So generally I did go every week. I missed very little, and I expected at first that the weight would kind of drop quite quickly because I had such a lot to lose, and that didn't happen. It was slower than I initially expected. I don't know why. It's one of those things. And I thought, this is a bit of a danger zone time for me now, because if it doesn't start to happen, I'm going to lose the faith. But within about 4 to 6 weeks, it started to chip away. And as soon as you sort of start to see yourself in the next stone down bracket, emotionally, you start to feel better about it. And you can see that you're having kind of a reward on the scales for the effort that you're putting in. And so I went every week practically until June 2019. And that was when I reached my target weight.
Wow, that's great, actually, to do that so that's you started in January, did you say?
Yeah, January 18, and I reached target in June 19.
So 18 months. Wow.
Just about 18 months.
Yeah. That's incredible. And were there any dips there where you thought, gosh, I just can't do this? Or did you feel motivated all the time?
On the whole, I felt motivated throughout. There are times, obviously, when there's a birthday or a special meal or something going out on the holidays and that kind of thing, where it becomes more difficult to remain focused. So I've had to really retrain my taste and rethink what I eat completely.
That's not easy. That's so hard to do that. Well, in my view,
there's a way.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
And I just, achieving my goal just became more important to me than it allowed me to make the choices that I needed to make to be healthy. And then, of course, when you start to see that you can buy smaller sized clothes, it's just an amazing feeling. But I mean, it cost me a fortune because I had to buy, I hung on as long as I could with replacing clothing. But, you get to a point where you've got no choice. You have to go into smaller clothing. But yes, I went from kind of 24 to 26 in trousers to 10 to 12. So yes, there's only a certain point up to which safety pins on trousers are going to do it.
Oh my
gosh,
yeah.
Like a clown in your trousers. But it's shoes. I was dropping shoe size, which nobody thinks about.
No, you wouldn't.
Had my wedding ring and engagement ring made bigger because I couldn't get them off, and so I'd had them enlarged. And now I've had to have them made smaller again. And I'm very careful where I wear them now because they're loose again now. And so I could just sort of move my hand like that and off they go.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen. What sort of impact do you think having that focus had on the whole process? Because I don't know if when you've tried previously you'd had a focus, but what do you think the focus was? Was it your mother, or was it the family? Was it I don't know, was it the being able to wear different clothes? What was it that was different about the previous attempts? I think that's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, I think belief in myself that I could do it. And as I say, I just reached this point where I was thinking this was my last chance now, really. I really felt that I just reached that point that I was going to do it now forever, or it wasn't going to happen. Whereas before I treated it as though I was going on a diet, and now, which was kind of temporary, it felt temporary. And then I thought I can go back to doing and having some of the things I want. So if I can just cut back on things now, get where I want to be, and then I can reintroduce. Well, I can't, because I have no stop button. So my old habits are still there. I still have to manage that within myself. But I want to manage that in myself now, because now I don't want to go back, because I've just gained so much more. Why would I want to go back? What is a bar of chocolate going to give me, really, other than a few minutes thinking this is nice while I'm eating it?
Yeah, you get a few minutes buzz, and then there's that almost, I don't know if you associate it with shame or guilt afterwards, but yeah, like you say, is knowing that you've got far more to gain from not having it. That is such a fascinating story. And Head Right Out is all about encouraging women to head out of their comfort zone, to take that leap of faith, mainly in the outdoors. Now, what you have done, you really have stepped out of your comfort zone. You've battled something that you had struggled with for years and years and years, and you've pushed yourself and got yourself to a place where you are happy. But it's not just through a journey of dieting, is it? You have discovered a passion for the outdoors and for activity, for moving your body. So would you like to talk us through some of the things that you have been doing? And I'd love to know when that started as well. When did the getting into things start? Because I know that when people are overweight, they don't always feel comfortable about heading out there and being in the outdoors or doing activity.
I think this is the thing now that drives me. So, for example, I no longer go to Slimming World. I don't focus on the weighing scales anymore. Our weighing scales are broken and we haven't replaced them, because that number on the scale is not what drives me now. So I feel like I've sort of shifted again in what's important to me. But in August 2018, I made contact with a lady called Claire, who runs a fitness group in Newport called Evolve Fit. And I kept seeing her fitness group on Facebook and little videos and pictures, and it just looked like people were having fun. And there were people of all shapes and sizes, which I was surprised at, because I thought that there wouldn't be people like me doing activity like that. But I didn't feel ready to actually go and walk into a class. I knew a lady who went to her classes because she had been our childminder, but she's a very fit lady. So I thought, oh, I can't possibly say to her, can I come to one of the classes with you? Because there's no way I can keep up. I mean, I literally couldn't really get myself down onto the floor and back up very easily. I really wasn't that mobile. And Claire, around that time, was starting personal training. And I thought to myself, that might be an option for me, because I definitely feel like I need to start moving. I haven't got a clue what to do in a gym, but maybe she can help me. So I decided to go to Claire because she was offering personal training slots. And I think I got to her at just the right time, because if I approached her now, she wouldn't have the availability. And I don't know now if she'd be so willing to take on somebody who was coming to her to say, I need help because I literally haven't exercised since I was 16 and I left school, and now I'm 48. So that's literally how long it was.
Wow.
So my husband came with me. I've got to say, Mark, my husband, has just been incredibly supportive throughout all of this. He's never, ever criticised my size. He's done nothing but support me all the way along. And when I said to him, I feel like I need to get moving and to get fit, but I'm a bit scared. Will you come with me? And that was what we did. And we've carried on doing that. So we still go to Claire for personal training on a weekly basis.
Wow.
And a few months later, then I felt comfortable enough to go to the gym on my own. Claire was running a boot camp there, and I could see other men and women on a boot camp circuit with her. And I thought, I'd love to get to the point that I can actually do that. And she was saying, well, join us, So once I thought, no, I can do push-ups and I can do sit-ups, and, I can move dumbbells and things like that. And so it's probably about 9 months into it that I joined her onto a boot camp. So that was just incredible, really. And so that's something that I've periodically have joined. And then I've joined in with her fitness classes as well. So she runs all sorts of things. There's Strong, which is like a HIIT class. There's Pound Fit. There's all sorts of things. So there's a real variety. And I just love it. The group of people they're amazing. And they've become some of the best friends you could have. People I wouldn't normally come across. They aren't nurses like I am. So we're from all different walks of life. We just wouldn't normally meet, but we've got a bond between us, and it's just, I honestly don't know what I would do without them now. And it's that sort of drives me and just keeps me going with wanting to do the right thing to keep myself fit and healthy, of which nutrition is one thing. So I am no longer on a diet. I am giving myself the right nutrition so that I can do the things that I want to do. And as part of that, Claire sets us different challenges, and that's where getting outdoors has come into it.
Oh, do you know, this is making me so happy. I'm smiling inside. I feel so lifted to hear what you're saying. And I mean, essentially what you're saying is you've said goodbye to the dieting and you've said hello to a completely new way of life, because the nutrition, the activity, the being outside is now your way of life, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So what other outdoor things have you been doing since?
With a group of friends who were doing a canalathon challenge, which was the first challenge really that I was setting myself up to do. And I did that with much trepidation, having watched other people doing it before, and thought, oh my goodness, what am I signing myself up for? But it was a 6-mile canoe, then I think it was 18 miles cycle ride, and a 7-mile walk or run along the Monmouthshire Brecon Canal.
Oh, that's our canal.
yeah. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful route to go along as well.
Yeah, and gorgeous.
Yeah, we had fantastic weather, so I learned to ride a bike, and I just sort of felt, well, I hadn't been on a bike since the last time I could remember was 1981. And I thought to myself, I'd like to get back on a bike, because when we've gone to centre parks and things like that, my husband and daughter always had a bike, and I would get on the land train if we went to Longley, because I couldn't manage the walking really. And I wanted to go there and be able to ride a bike. And then once I took myself off to a charity in Swansea, Bikeability Wales, and within 15 minutes, they had me cycling again. It's the best £20 that I've spent. It's unbelievable. And I just thought, why am I making such a big deal out of these things? I just need to get on a bike and do it. I can't do it. And, just then to think I can cycle 18 miles along a canal. I mean, this just would have been unheard of. I would have been far too scared to try it.
It's incredible. It's just so incredible. How is your confidence cycling on the road now? Have you tried cycling on the road?
Yeah, I'm not a great fan of it, just because, like in the autumn when there's leaves down, and I worry about slipping and sliding a bit on the leaves and that kind of thing. And you just don't quite know about the other road users. So I prefer to avoid that and have, dedicated cycle routes and somewhere nice and picturesque in the country rather than on the road.
And we've got lots of National Cycle Network trails to follow. I'm not sure how far you are away from us here, but I mean, the canal is a National Cycle Network as well. But and you've learned to ski, I understand.
Yes, that's right.
How is that?
Again, scary. My husband has always wanted to go skiing, and I've never really liked the snow because I'm always scared of falling over, because again, it's quite difficult to pick yourself up off the floor when you're that size. I was just filled with the fear of the humiliation of passers-by having to come and pick up this great big lump off the floor, it's just and the thought was always, no, how can I possibly even think of taking myself skiing? And then the clothing, how on earth would I have fit into it? I couldn't get normal sort of boots to fit around my legs, never mind then thinking about how on earth I would get ski boots to fit around me. But skiing we did, so I was scared, but I did it, and I had some ski lessons. I'm not fast, and it takes me a little while to build up my ski legs, but we've been a couple of times. We should have been going again in January, but it's not looking like that will happen with the situation in France. We were going into the Alps, so that might not happen. But I've got my own ski boots now. I've got a nice snazzy ski helmet.
Oh, wonderful.
It's just I've believed in myself that I can do it, and I've just got to have the confidence to try. I'm doing things now in my 50s. I'm having the best decade of my life. I know I'm 51, so I'm just kind of getting into my 50s, but I feel like I'm just so much happier than I was in my 30s and 40s.
I can hear it in you. I mean, you're just buzzing with positivity, and it's fabulous. And you must find that this transfers into other day-to-day stuff. So things with family and with friends, at work, in particular at work, where perhaps you need to draw on resilience in, some of those more difficult times that we're going through. How have you found that that's impacted your day-to-day life with those sorts of events?
Again, it's really interesting, because from a work point of view, I sometimes questioned how people could look at me as a credible professional in healthcare when I was the size that I was. And this is all part of the sort of self-loathing and self-destructive thoughts that you have. And not that anybody ever said anything that made me that nobody ever gave me cause to think that that's what they were thinking. It's what I was thinking. But now I'm not thinking like that anymore. I don't know whether I just might portray myself differently. I don't know. I should ask people really if there's a difference in how I behave and come across.
It would be interesting to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because
also...
sorry, go on.
I was going to say about the discipline now about managing your resilience and ability to cope and manage your work-life balance, because I wanted to get to the gym. I wanted to make sure I was participating in the classes because I knew that emotionally that was going to make me feel better than me coming home and pouring a glass of wine and shoving an oven ready meal in the oven and despairing about the day and life. And the difference that you get from going to the gym and doing something productive, well, I mean, it has completely helped me to manage my stress. And I used to think, how do you find time to go to the gym for an hour? Well, now I think, how did I not find the time? Because the difference it's made to me emotionally as well as physically, it's immeasurable. It really is.
So with the physicality of your size came the mental health issues and the emotional issues as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to recognise, isn't it, that this is just your scenario. And I'm sure there's going to be lots and lots of listeners who will resonate with what you're saying. But there are some people out there who are plus size. They are bigger, but they choose to be bigger and they're happy being bigger. They're happy within themselves. So I think it is important for us to recognise that. And this is just your situation and what you needed to make you happy and to, deal and help your own mental health. And I'm so pleased for you that this has worked and that you have found a new life, a new way of enjoying your life, and that your family can enjoy your life with you as well, because it sounds like it impacted on everybody.
It really did. And it's things that you don't think about, things like I would always be influencing holiday choices, days out choices, because I knew that there were things I needed to avoid because of the potential for these humiliating situations. And things like sports day at school and doing the mum's race and those sorts of things. They were just, I used to dread them. I really did.
Probably wanted to avoid them completely.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't get that time back with my daughter when she was little. I can't. I can only apologise to my husband for the influence that I had on the things that he wanted to do that I was afraid to do. And I can just make up for it now. And that's what we're doing.
You are a role model for your daughter now. I'm absolutely certain of that. And I'm sure your husband must be so proud of you. So I can't imagine for 1 minute that he has any regrets about what's past and what's been missed. I think that, it's probably more to the point is that you are both, and your daughter as well, enjoying what you have now, because it sounds like it's so full and there's so many opportunities out there for you now.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
It's a strange thing because it's such a personal thing, but it becomes outward facing because it's physical and people can see what's physically happening to you. And some people feel that they have the right to comment on it, and that's strange too.
How do you feel about that?
It depends on the comments, really. I'll talk to anybody about it. As I say, it becomes very obvious to people what's happening. It's when people make assumptions about how it must feel, how you must have felt as the larger size, and what it must be like to be losing weight. And people don't necessarily choose their words carefully. They base what they're thinking on what it might be like for them, rather than actually listening to you about what it's like for you as an individual. And as you say, what's right for other people, it is up to them, isn't it? I just reached a point where I knew I had to do something differently.
Yeah, I think it's quite common as well for people to put their own opinions and their own take on something, not just this, but anything, and it can be to the detriment of the person that they're talking to, sadly. So yeah, I think we all need to just take that moment to just have a little thought for what we're about to say and the impact that it's going to have. Our words can mean a lot, and they can hurt, can't they?
Yeah, true.
So I met you in the cafe in Crickhowl. We were both on a navigation course. What direction had you gone in to say, right, I need to go, or I want to go on a navigation course?
I actually bought it as a birthday present for Mark, for my husband. But it was all really coming down to an outdoor walk that we'd been on last year. Maybe, gosh, I'm losing track of time with the pandemic now. Might have even been the year before.
It all blends into one, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. We'd been on a guided walk in the Brecon Beacons. And I thought, this is just so lovely. And Mark had always been saying, we've got such countryside around us that would be fabulous to explore. And I just was never in the place that I could do that. But again, wanting to be brave and thinking, right, let's get out and do it. But let's do it as a guided walk so that, we don't have to worry about getting lost and that sort of thing. And we had a whale of a time, really enjoyed ourselves. And then it was over the course of the pandemic, couldn't really go as far as we might have wanted to at that point, but we did some local walks. And then as restrictions have eased, we thought, well, let's go and do that walk again in the Brecon Beacons because it was repeated. And then we thought, actually, we remembered that route. We could do this alone, maybe. And Mark was saying he's done map reading before, just needed to refresh. I've never learned how to read a map. And I don't like to rely on him. I mean, I could easily just say, well, you have the map and I'll just follow you. But I like to understand it myself as well. And so I thought, well, it's something, again, we can do together. It's a skill that I can learn from scratch and he can refresh himself. So in the summertime, we'd been to North Wales, walking around in Snowdonia, and just thought, we really do need to do something about this map reading because, again, we were sort of restricted to guided walks and couldn't really get off the beaten path because we just didn't have that confidence. And when I was then looking around at the different options that there were, so I booked Mark and I onto the navigation skills course in Crickhowl, and we then a couple of weeks ago went and did a mountain skills training course.
Oh, fabulous. So you've taken that a step further now.
Yeah. So that was great as well. So we did a lot of revision of navigation skills, and there was a lot more there about kind of route planning and clothing, weather systems and food and nutrition and survival in the mountains should the worst come to the worst and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really good, very enjoyable.
Can I just ask, I don't know if you what mountain you were up in or if you were in hills, but did you face any fears when you were up there? Do you have any hang-ups about heights or steep edges or anything like that, scree?
Yeah, definitely. I do not like the thought of scrambling. I still have a bit of a fear of, quite a big fear of falling. So yeah, I'm very happy with going uphill because I've got the cardio fitness to manage it, you see. So I'm very happy sort of going up a good incline. But when it starts to get very steep, and just occasionally where you're on parts where you sort of get a bit cragfest and you can't go up and you can't go down because you've just kind of got stuck.
Been there. I got the t-shirt.
It's not nice. It's not nice.
How do you talk yourself through that?
Well, again, I mean, because Mark is there with me, he knows my limits and he can read my face. I have a lot of confidence in him being there, and I suppose that's something that I should challenge myself about as well, doing things maybe without him being there.
And that might be something for, maybe a New Year's resolution or something, one to try. Yeah, there's no reason why not. I know I'm in that place too, where I need to go up a mountain on my own.
Yeah, it's all. He always says to me, and the guy who was running the mountain skills course was saying, have confidence in your boots. And I'm not unconfident in my boots. It's myself that I'm unconfident in. But yeah, the thing is coming down. I'm sort of getting a bit better at, because if it's that steep, I'll just sit down on my bottom and go down that way if I'm not worried about falling. And learning, it's like with skiing, isn't it? Where you've got to go zigzag down the mountain, not just sort of head straight down, so that you're not gathering up the speed as you're rolling down the mountain, kind of thing. So it's learning the techniques and using your walking poles and that sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really useful advice in there, actually, lots of good tips. And you've done quite a lot of hill walking recently, haven't you?
Yeah, we had a challenge with Claire and the fitness group, and she wanted to raise money for charity with us doing a fitness challenge. So those of us on the boot camp, about 15 of us signed up to do it, which was to walk up and down Penavan 10 times in 20 hours.
In 20
hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So I put my heart and soul into training for this. Every bit of kit that I could have bought for myself. I had so many trial runs in different weather conditions where I realised where my kit wasn't up to scratch and I needed something better to give myself the best chance. So yes, I did a lot. So I think this year I've walked up Penavan 28 times, I think.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
But, my hip, actually, on the day itself, the weather conditions were horrendous. If the wind had been much worse, we wouldn't have been able to safely continue. But yeah, the rain and the wind was just something else. So it was hard going.
Tough.
And my hip gave way, and I had a hip bursitis, and I just couldn't relieve the pain. So it just got to the point where I was sort of dragging my leg, really. So I had to give up.
Is that something you've recovered from now?
It's a lot better. Yeah, I would be interested to see what it's like if I were to repeat the exercise.
Yeah.
But I haven't given up on that mountain. I will be back. I will be back in 2022.
Like the Terminator, I'll be back. Oh, wow. Yeah. This is just so inspiring. I guess there's a couple of questions I have, Maria, because we're coming to the end of time, but I could listen to you share these stories for ages, because I know that we've only really touched the surface, haven't we? I mean, there's so much in this. Maybe you should just write a book. Or have a website, where you write blogs or something. There's so much in this story of yours, this journey that you've been on, that I think is going to touch so many people, and I'd just love to read more or hear more. But I'm interested to know, apart from the physical aspect of your body, how have you benefited from this journey? Can you summarize in a nutshell, how has it benefited you, apart from the fact that now you have a new body and you can wear different clothes?
I like myself again. I'm proud of myself. I believe in myself. I'm more confident in my abilities. I'm not so scared of things. I didn't realise I was scared of things, but that's because I wasn't exposing myself to situations that might have caused fear. And it just, I'm fulfilled. I feel alive.
Sorry. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Just having your life back that's the biggest gift, the hugest gift that you've given to yourself, to you and your family. So sorry,
it's so deep rooted. I just, this is the thing for me now. I think Swimming World did for me what I needed it to do. It got me to where I need to be, but now I'm somewhere else, and this is so much more than about what the scales say every week. This is about me, my family, my relationships, the things that we can do. It's about living.
Oh, it is. Oh, I'm so proud of you and feel for you and feel all of this joy that you're experiencing now. So, wow, just mop myself up. So the last thing I need to ask you, Maria, is the question that I ask all of my guests. And that is, do you have a head right out moment? And it might be that it's something that you've already talked about, or it could be something else or something small, but a moment that you have had in the outdoors where you have pushed yourself beyond what you thought you were capable of. You've pushed yourself out of your comfort zone. You've done it and you've benefited as a result. So do you have a head right out moment that you'd like to share with us?
It's got to be the Penavan Challenge, I think, really, because I know it's a very popular mountain. So many people go walking there. So many people think it's an easy mountain to walk, but it's not easy when you're trying to walk up and down it 10 times in 20 hours. That needs real grit and determination to get through it. But we had such a lot of fun and camaraderie, and you just meet so many people on the mountain who are just amazed at what you're trying to do, and that really spurs you on. There are other people doing crazy challenges there, so it feels like a bit of a circus. So you feel like there's a bit of a community going on there that you're part of. My first real experience of walking up and down a mountain in the dark and in poor weather conditions, because normally I would stick to going in good weather. And there was something, quite a moment when you drive through the Brecon Beacons, and of course there's no light, and going up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I can't believe really that I felt brave enough to do it. And the walking partner that I was with, she's half my age, and we didn't really know each other, but we certainly do now. We were pouring our hearts out to each other, trudging up and down that mountain. And it's just been such an incredible experience. And then seeing all the other mountains around there and thinking, I don't just want to walk up Penavan, I want to see the rest of it. I want to be able to explore the rest of it. The world, it's out there, and I'm in the right place now to be able to do it. I just need to go and get it done.
So you need to own the Brecon Beacons, each one of those summits, and then the world's your oyster. Oh wow, Maria, that is an incredible tale, and it's so empowering, and I can feel just everything that you're going through with your friend as well. I know that kind of walk and talk, it's almost like therapy, isn't it? You tend to put the world to rights and you share everything. Yeah, it's an amazing experience to be able to do that with somebody, even if you don't know them, like you say you do now.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Maria, is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners before we close? Anything that you've not had the opportunity to talk about that you would have liked to have mentioned?
If there's a chance that I've inspired somebody to think, I'm ready to make that transition to a healthier life, that would just make my day. Just be brave and do it. If I can help anybody, I'd be delighted to just share what's happened to me.
And are you happy for people to contact you on your social media?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. Where will they find you?
I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram.
And what are you? Who are you? So, who are you on it?
Twitter is @Maria_M_Roberts.
Okay.
And I think Instagram is the same with 2019 on the end.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll pop those links in the show notes so that people can click on them and come to you if they have any questions or if they have any advice. Wow, Maria Roberts, this has been just empowering and inspiring. And
Thank you.
yeah, I'm feeling so full of joy. And I know I had a few tears there, but that was tears of emotion because I felt the joy that you had reached from that very dark place a couple of years ago that you were in. And yeah, I just feel so pleased for you. And thank you for coming on Head Right Out and sharing that with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Oh my gosh, those tears sometimes just grab you and you have no control over them. That I found that so moving, so emotional to hear. To hear Maria's acceptance of herself, the way she now has pride in herself and she feels like she no longer has to hide away and isn't so scared of things. Her courage now and zest for life to just get out there and try things is so encouraging and so refreshing. And I'm just so excited for her. Really, really felt that. Now, something that Maria didn't say, because, I mean, there was so much she could have said and we just didn't have time for, but the fitness group that she did the Tennivan Challenge with actually raised over £6,000 for Mind, the mental health charity. So, yeah, huge round of applause to the fitness group and to Maria, because that's such a great focus when you're struggling with things yourself or when you need that motivation to get out there and do something active, to have a focus for yourself, but also a focus where somebody else is relying on you. That can really help too. I think something also I should mention here, and I don't think Maria will mind me saying this, but in the email she sent to me at the very end, she says, "Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you. I don't feel very inspiring and my achievements are nothing compared to those of many others, but they have meant a world of difference to me." And that's the key. Maria, you are inspiring. And I know there's going to be a whole host of listeners that are going to be shouting at the speakers, going, no, or into their headphones, or just, if they're running or walking, they're going to look like they're shouting to nobody, but they can be saying, no, you are inspiring. And the key is that what you have done has made a world of difference to you and your family. And that is the most important thing. That's what I find inspiring, that you have taken this step to do this thing that has lifted you, that has given you a new life. It's given you the life that you wanted so many years ago, but just didn't know how to get. So huge congratulations all round for doing this thing, for raising the money, for creating yourself a new life. Not that I want to sound like I'm on TV or radio or anything, but if you have been affected by any of the issues that we've discussed, please seek help. Go and talk to a medical professional, talk to a friend, or if you just want to touch base with Maria and get some advice or find out how she felt about certain things, she said she would be happy for you to contact her. But please, if you need proper help, go and seek professional advice. Okay, this week's Head Right Out moment has come from Tesney. It's so relevant, I felt, to some of the themes that Maria was talking about with needing to do things on her own. And also it's interesting because Tesney says a very similar thing to what Maria said at the end of her email. Tesney says, "I wanted to share my story with you. It's not big, but I was very proud of myself." These things that we do, they don't have to be big. They can be micro bravery moments. To head out of your comfort zone, it can be small. It doesn't have to be massive. For some people, I say this over and over again, for some people it might just be stepping outside the front door. So here is Tesney's head right out moment. For years now, I've been interested in the Southwest Coast Path and knew I'd likely not have time to through hike it or have anyone to do it with, so dismissed the idea to one day. Then during COVID lockdown 2021, I thought maybe I should just start in bits and see how I get on by myself. I'd never walked more than 8 miles on a hike before, and definitely not regularly or on coastal hills. I'd also never planned and taken a trip by myself before. I'd always gone with someone on holidays, etc. It felt like something I needed to do for myself once the world opened up again. I loved my first leg from Minehead to Ilfracombe. I took public transport and carried my stuff between B&Bs. I had my first time eating in a restaurant alone, and although it was weird, I actually enjoyed it. I learned so much about myself on that trip and what I was capable of. It was hard. My body wasn't used to walking so far and for several days, but I persevered even when I just wanted to give up or cry. I also met some wonderful people along the way and made a new friend to share some of the walk with. I was filled with joy being out on the path, even when it was tough, and I felt whole. Once I arrived home, I eagerly planned my next trip to Westward Ho. Sadly, this didn't go quite to plan due to blisters, but I did get as far as Braunton and I camped by myself. So that was another new experience that I'm so proud of, despite originally seeing myself as a failure for giving up. I finally made it to Westward Ho in October. This section I did with someone I met on an all-women beginner canoe trip down the length of the Wye, which was another scary first with new people, new skills and new places. We had the best time, despite it being a fairly dull part of the path. And we are already planning the next leg to Bude together. I shall then be taking on North and hopefully West Cornwall this spring and summer by myself. But I know I can do it now, and I can't wait. Oh, Tesney, that was incredible. I am so pleased for you. And yes, doing section hiking is just as good and just as important for you as getting out there and doing a through hike. If you haven't got time to walk for 6-7 weeks on end, then do it in sections. Do it like 3 days, 5 days, a week at a time. Just do whatever you can manage. And acknowledging and recognising that your body is so capable of taking you these distances and doing things that you were far out of your reach previously. This is just so empowering. Thank you. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for coming along and supporting Head Right Out. Next week, I'm talking to Sue Plasto, who has another very touching story. It's uplifting, there's some sadness there, but generally the whole episode feels positive. And she is on this wonderful life adventure that has been ignited even more by some personal circumstances. So I hope you'll join me again next week. Have a great week and Head Right Out hugs to you all.